Hello everyone, I am Tacit and welcome to the Brighter Shores live stream, day 76. Of course, we are finally done with the 200 alchemy grind, and we're kind of discussing what we are going to be doing next. And while the original plan was kind of woodcutting carpentry, I have a little bit of a pivot that I think we're going to be doing. That is being detective and just making money in general. But the main reason for this is, of course, we were mentioning in the past that we're going to need to go and get detective up when we go do combat. And I was just looking at the ranges and everything, and it seems like there is a pretty nice range where we should probably be doing that now rather than later. Where we try getting to 267 now so we can make a ton of money from the investigations, so that we can then do the 287 and start just getting a ton of free XP every single day, 2 times per day. And eventually even better investigations from that, so that we can actually be at the better crime den by the time combat comes out. It is, it seems like that's worth doing. We're currently in like the biggest dead zone of detective. There's 2 of them. One of them is getting to 267, because there's just a lot of dead stuff right beforehand in your raid that you're currently doing, like this one falls off quite a bit. The other pretty big dead zone is right before you unlock the very last one, at 451, as it's really hard to end up getting to that final threshold. The other one in between isn't too bad, because it has enough offsetting ways of getting XP that's not as big a deal. But the other 2 are probably like the worst dead zones in all of Detective, and we have one of the 2 of them to get through. And we do eventually, when we go do the 500 combat guide for, when we go do 500 combat for Chronopolis, we will be doing 500 Detective along with it. So it seems like to prep for those combat mergings, it's actually worthwhile to go get some of that Detective now. Bare minimum, at least get the better wand poster, so that 287 we can start getting better passive XP per day. So that is our current tangent right now. I will be going and doing Leatherworker just so we have a little bit more variety, because I do want to go and finally get that 210 and everything. But over the next few days, that is probably going to be our biggest goal. Get 267 so that we can get 287, so that we can start getting better free XP per day. And then from there, we can let it sit a little bit. However, at some point before the combat merging, or at least before we finish 500 in Mines of Matubin, we do need to get 344 Detective in one way or another, either through the AFKs, through actual doing investigations, hoping that the 287 carries us twice per day. But whatever combination, we need to start working towards that 344. But in short term, we're working towards that 267, so that's the main plan there. But as soon as we finish this out, we're probably going to do Leatherworker until we get a level. Keep in mind, of course, it is Monday, so we'll be doing a shorter stream. Also, if the stream randomly cuts off at any time, apparently there is maintenance. They actually send like a text thing. Normally they do it at night, but my service provider is having maintenance at some point. I was going to do it after the maintenance, but they haven't done it yet. They said they were going to do it at some time from like noon to 6, and it is currently like right in the middle of that at 3 right now. So who knows? At any second now, in like 5 minutes from now, if I randomly disconnect at any point during the stream, we are not coming back. It's not our electricity going out or something like that. It's just their service provider doing maintenance. Normally they do it at night, but yeah, they're unfortunately doing it very annoyingly right when I want to do Brighter Shore stream. It's fine though. But yeah, if that does happen, we're not coming back. So do be wary if we do randomly cut off at any point. Yeah, it's just our service provider doing their thing. So, you know, service providers being service providers. But yeah, normally I do it at night. I'm not sure why they're doing it during the day for once, but kind of annoying, but it's fine. Anyways, so hello, Sanaka. Oh yeah, we do have a poll going on for today, by the way. I know it's a little bit of a shorter stream, but I still figured we'd do one. I might redo it tomorrow just since we'll have a lot more people, a lot more votes, a lot more time as far as stream duration. But yeah, the current poll for today is, which Brighter Shores update are you prepping for most right now? In our 4 options that we have. I'll probably run this poll back tomorrow as well. But the 4 options are trading / official Iron Man mode. Because Iron Man mode still does get affected by it. All the price hikes that are planned to happen affect you, even if you are being an Iron Man. So do be wary of that, as it affects all shops, not just the people who are enabling trading. Beyond that, we have the combat merge and rework, which is definitely the biggest one I'm prepping for, and seems to be the one that most people are most hyped for. I still figured we have a bunch of other options. PvP, which I think is like the least hyped one, but I'm still curious to see what they do with PvP. I feel like a lot of people who want PvP, though, are more excited about the combat rework than necessarily PvP itself, as the combat rework's a lot more fundamental. And then Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is still a ways away, but there's a lot of things you can be doing to be prepping. Even the other week, we were technically prepping for it. I made about 1,500 Stone Mall Hill potions between the 6% and the 7%. So, you know, we already did some prep. Even if we did the AFK passive right now, we'd also be prepping for Chapter 5, as I'd be using a good majority of the +4 boost pots on Armor Maker and Builder, assuming Builder's actually good, in Chapter 5 post 200. So even that is technically prepping for the next chapter, same as the Stonewall Hills, same as pretty much anything that goes in there. Honestly, even getting 500 merchant, 500 leatherworker is, while also prepping for trading quite a few other things, it's technically also prepping for chapter 5. If you're banking like almost all your leather for, you know, eventual armor maker, just so you have it ready to go for whatever level you plan to get, 200, 500, whatever number in between that you're going for. But anyways, oh yeah, I meant to actually stop after that other raid, didn't I? Well, let me go finish out this raid. And then we'll probably, speaking of leatherworker, go do a leatherworker to 210. I'll probably be banking most of them, oddly enough, rather than selling them. Oh no, maybe we'll sell a few. Just because, even though we are on the money pivot right now. So, of course, there's one other reason we're doing detective. I didn't mention it earlier. Obviously, we want to go get 267 so we can start training it manually with investigations. These investigations are, oddly enough, about as much as we make from merchant right now. I believe they're a little over 1 gold, which is about the same as 50 levels less for merchant, which sounds bad, like when you put it that way, like 50 levels above, but, you know, it's giving about as much as merchant now. However, the upside is it's giving about as much money as merchant does now. So that's not horrible. Like that's our second best moneymaker, basically, essentially. Where our best would be leatherworker, our second best would be this once we unlock it, and our third best would be just doing merchant, of course. Except that requires a lot more brain power, which this is pretty chill. Investigations are more complicated than, like, you know, hitting a tree or hitting a rock or something. But it's way chiller than doing merchant. It's like a nice in-between, where you still have to think some, but you don't have to think as hard as merchant, as a lot of the locations are pretty predetermined. You still have to route a little bit, but not to the same degree that you have to route merchant. But plus you have no inventory management that you really have to worry about either. I might even do some merchant runs as we do it, we'll see, just to get a little bit of merchant EXP and money. But yeah, it's our game plan. We're in a bit of a dead area here, though. Getting to that's kind of annoying. After we get to this, we're kind of good to go, though. This dead area and the other biggest dead area is right to the raid den right here. This dead area is so bad as well. They're the two worst ones. This dead area is so bad. The rank 1, I saw the rank 1 the rank 1 Chronopolis person. The one with the toast level Chronopolis, Casey. He was actually doing the wines at this area. It is such a dead area as far as your active method, because you either have to be doing a 344 raid den, which is so little, or a 393 investigation. You have absolutely nothing between here unless you're waiting forever and just getting that, or doing the AFKs and hoping that's enough to carry you through. But yeah, he was legitimately actually catching thieves at wines for like days on end. Because there just wasn't any better method, because it was actually better AFK XP than doing a den because it's so far behind with the penalty. Though after the combat merge, that penalty shouldn't be as bad. It should be a 0% penalty. Just the XP rate would be the same, but there wouldn't be like a 50% penalty, 60% by then. So to some degree, that would actually still somewhat be viable by the time we actually get around to it. But still, it still would be clunky. That's really low XP. I'm pretty sure even this after that might be stronger. I know in the current state of the game it is. We'll have to see after the rework though, because there's still a lot we don't know about the combat rework. But yeah, he was legitimately doing these wines. It is such a dead area. And the worst part is the final stretch, you have forensics. So you can't even really do the AFK activity for the final 10 levels either, unless you want to spend like your entire bank account that you did for all the other money on that. Because that would probably cost, gosh, like over 20, 30, 40 gold or something. Those forensics are not cheap unless you make them through alchemy, but you can't make them until absurdly high level. You can't make that potion, I believe, until 354, which is generally not happening. Most people who are doing the 500 grind don't have 354 alchemy. Some of them might, but a lot of them, of course, will not have that. Anyways, also, hello Luke, hello Nathan, hello Sipo, hello Campaign, welcome. You're on the same grind right now, working on 344 Detective? Nice. Yeah, that's been my pivot. What level are you up to? But yeah, that's going to be our strong pivot now. But let's go head over to Leatherworker after this. I keep saying that. I want to go get 210 Leatherworker to stream. And, yeah, start working a little bit more on Detective. A lot of this will be off-stream, of course, like the Detective grind. Even tomorrow, I'm probably going to be finishing out Old School RuneScape's League on stream. We did that for 6 days around Thanksgiving time. And tomorrow's the final day, and what better time to go train this when it's, like, really repetitive than on that day, so that we have a little bit of side content going on. Just so it's not just this the entire time. Because, of course, we do have to do a lot of this in this area. Also, my AFK last night was also Detective. I actually bothered to go get all the rest of the knowledge points we needed, and I even upgraded my binoculars a little bit. Not a lot, but we got the golden binoculars, as well as level 10 binoculars, just to help it out a little bit. Also, I will be getting the 25 magnifying glass. It's one of the reasons I want to do Leatherworker, maybe even a little bit of Merchant mixed in and stuff like that. By the time we get to 267 Detective, we do need 18 gold, and I'm currently sitting on 1 gold. Which, you know, there's a bit of a disparity between those two numbers, 1 gold and 18. So, yeah, at some point in the next, like, 20-something detective levels, we do have to scrap together, like, almost 20 gold. Well, technically 18-ish gold, technically 17-ish gold. But, yeah, we do need to get that at some point. Where we're getting that from, I have no clue. But some of that will be from Leatherworker right now, so let's get to it. We've been putting off this 210 Leatherworker grind for a little bit. That's as high as we can go at the current state of the game until we get a higher merchant level, which is something else I should be considering too. Start throwing down a little bit more merchant during all this. I was planning on doing some while doing the investigations and kind of see how the mix works. So why am I trying to sell to him? Obviously, I have no hides to sell. And I do have the 7% XP pots on me. I am dumping this into smithing during this time. I might put a little bit into mining, but I plan to do it mostly on smithing. Oh, if our connection doesn't go up by then, in 42 minutes, we gotta go take our daily thingy thing and grab that. Probably take the detective one first since we're already in the area, or at least closer to the area. And then go double single boost into the other one. Anyways, let's go grab our hides, start doing some leatherworker. We need that money. Yeah, we gotta scrap together 18 gold. I might have to do merchant a little bit. I'm not sure how exactly we're gonna go about that. As far as merchant, to be able to go all the way to our next hide is quite far. We'd have to go 17 levels, which of course is not the quickest thing in the world. Hey, Miles Yes is here. Although that makes sense. They're going all the way to 500. They are stuck here. They're basically leather locked until 500 leather worker. They're banking all their leather for 500 armor as well as money. I think they said they were keeping 80%, selling 20, which at this point is pretty much my ratio. I do sell a little bit more here and there. But I've been trying to keep a lot more lately. Because I've been trying to use this more to bank armor maker than make money, but I keep needing money, which keeps making me hit the sell button. But that's one of the other reasons I kind of want to do detective. We need a better money solve than just do leatherworker. I hate that selling our hides has basically become our moneymaker instead of banking them for armor. Because even with trading enabled, we still need to bank almost all of them ourselves. There's not going to be that many that are going to be traded, and the ones that are going to be traded are going to be marked up too much to bother buying, because obviously they're going to cost more than the shop. So at bare minimum, you're paying like an upcharge of 10%, if not more. So it's still better to bank your own compared to selling them. You're a 274 watch person and 268 detective? Nice. Yeah, there's one thing to keep in mind when you do go into detective grind, at least at this level range, is one of the reasons I want to do it now. One of the reasons I wasn't doing it, it was because, oh, I'm going to be able to go and, you know, just get combat and detective up at the same time. But there are areas where you do need to do detective separately. And we're actually at that area right now where our detective level is going to go higher than our combat level. The main reason for this is because of where the actual activities are. We're going to need to do this 267 because we can't get to another better raid den until 344. So we're going to have to go on a lot of detective pivot. We have to do what we are doing now, basically, to get to 267, using the AFK activity as well as, well, we have like 9 level range where we won't be able to use it. But, you know, using the AFK activity and the raid den and everything else to try to get to there. Then after that, we have to manually train detective while gaining 0 combat XP, which is perfect to do now rather than later, since, of course, later we want to be mixing it with combat as much as possible. And, yeah, so we'd want to be doing this until we can get to this. Once we get this better bounty board, this is huge. 287 is so important to reach. I'm not sure if 287 will be our end goal. I just kind of leave it there for a while because we'll get a lot of passive XP. But 287 is by far the biggest milestone because that's when we get the better wanted poster. While we do get a little bit more gold from this per day, or I should say silver, the biggest thing from this is it's finally a post 200 venture. And the ventures do boost quite a bit post 200 compared to pre 200. A lot more so than a lot of other things scale. They scale actually pretty similarly to, not exactly the same way, but they scale very similarly to how AFK activities do, where they become 4 times better post 200. They're not quite 4 times better in that regard, like a, you know, like a 1-to-1 as far as exactly how that works, but they are definitely better post 200 than they are pre 200 from that 12-hour timer thingy. So really, really useful to end up utilizing, as I do not currently have a second. That's like the biggest thing. I don't currently have a second post 200 venture right now. We do for mining. That's a 231 mining activity right now. But this is only a 297 detective. We still do not have the post 200 one, which makes 287 a very, very enticing level to end up going for. And it's probably our main pivot until we end up getting it. We can stop doing detective then and just kind of let it go up naturally over time, just through the daily and everything, and just slowly let it trickle up. But that is pretty much our game plan in that regard, is to get that rolling, so we're just good to go. I feel almost tempted to go put some XP into detective, though I am still putting this into smithing, because gosh, does smithing take forever. I might even put some of it into mining, we'll see. But for now, we're putting it into smithing. The whole reason why we're doing smithing, the whole reason we're doing any of this. So why are we doing any of this right now? We're doing detective, so when the combat merch comes out, we could do watch person. We're doing smithing because when the combat rework comes out, we need weapons. And that's pretty much like every single angle that we're doing right now. We're doing everything because of the combat rework. Honestly, anything that we're doing over the next until combat rework happens is because of combat rework. Why are we getting 200 woodcutting and carpentry, or even 208, 216? Is because of the combat rework. It allows us to make tier 5s for everything except our battle axe. Why are we getting 200 all? The combat rework, so I don't have to worry about skilling. Why are we doing detective all this way? Combat rework, so we can get 500 watch person without having to go out of our way for detective XP. And yeah, pretty much everything that we're doing over the next month, or pretty much until combat rework happens, is because it's combat rework prep. Every single thing. I don't think there's a single exception of anything I'm doing the next month. Doesn't matter what it is probably tied directly to combat rework, otherwise I probably wouldn't be doing it. Though I do have to say, the 200 alchemy was more so because of the price hike than combat rework though. But also, I do need 200 all in all of them anyway, so that's still technically combat rework. Like, how does like fishing or forager like help you with combat? But it's mostly because if I have 200 all, I won't feel the need to go out of my way to go get them. So if I already have 200 of every single skill, I won't feel the need to go back to skilling for a while, because post 200 is a lot more annoying to do. So if we already have post 200 on everything, or, you know, if we have 200 all in skilling, I won't feel the need to go back to skilling as hard if we are just going all in combat. But if I do have like a level 57 and we're starting to go on the combat pivot, I'm eventually going to be like, I should probably go back and AFK fishing a little bit so that we can go and, you know, get the level and everything. So it's one of the other reasons I kind of want to get that done. Will we get that done in time? I have no clue. We'll find out. Anyways, hello everyone, and let's see, who else was chatting here? Also, just to reiterate again, because there wasn't as many people earlier, if I do randomly disconnect, no worries. It's just my service provider. They're doing maintenance at some point today, and it'll be down for like an hour or two, and it could be like literally any minute now. So this stream's basically on a timer until the service provider cuts off our internet for like an hour or two to do maintenance. Normally they do it at night. But, yeah, there will be maintenance soon, so we'll basically stream until the stream disconnects. Is basically our game plan for today. So if we randomly just disconnect mid-sentence or anything else, we will not be coming back. However, yeah, it's just the service provider thing. Is this game any good? Also, hello, OK Log. It's definitely still very heavily in early access at the moment. However, I've been enjoying it a lot. It's really good if you like number go-up simulators. It definitely does number go-up simulator really well. It's still really early in early access though, so it still has a lot of development before it's really like a fleshed out game with like everything you'd kind of expect from an MMO. Still missing a lot of MMO features. Doesn't even have trading yet. Should in like a month or two or even less. But there's a lot of like core features that are still missing from the game, but they're working on it. Really small dev team, really passionate dev team. But I've been enjoying it so far. You definitely have to love skilling though, as there's currently no bossing, no PvP, no nothing like that. At the moment, it's all planned. Even PvP should be probably in like a few months. But not in the game yet. So still a lot to do. There's a decent storyline that you can end up doing through everything. A bunch of side quests, as well as new side quests coming in the near future. Oh yeah, that's something else I didn't put on the poll. Maybe when we do the poll tomorrow, I'll reword it. I'll probably combine PvP with the combat merge and rework. Or put it somewhere else. Because one of the other ones I want to go put in the poll for tomorrow, when we do it for the full duration of the stream, is, I almost forgot about that. Questing. Oh, I guess I could add questing to Chapter 5, like Chapter 5/questing. Because you could be prepping for questing too, trying to get like base 50 or 60 or so that you're ready for any quest that comes around, so that whenever a new quest comes around, you can immediately get its reward and just go through the storyline and everything. Because they're planning on adding a lot of quests soon. No exact time frame as far as when or how many, but back in the day, he used to do like 1 or 2 a month. So I wouldn't be surprised if he tries aiming for 1 a month again. They even hired like a full-time animator to go help with that too, so hopefully they can start pushing out quest after quest after quest. They're probably just starting to set up the infrastructure for how they go about adding a quest every month or so. However, once they do, like once we get our first quest, I have a feeling we're going to start seeing a quest every month. They just got to get all the infrastructure set up so that they can start, consistently pumping them out over and over and over again. Oh, we got a comment here. Hello. Hello, hello. Welcome. Hey, Detective Santa's still here. Is it going for 500 all? I think Detective Santa is like a mini KC, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure he's a mini KC. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure he is. Let's go under Detective. Because I believe he's... actually, I can probably see him over here for Chronopolis. But yeah, I believe he's... yeah, he is. Oh, he's pretty much as high as Miles ES. Never noticed that. But, yeah, 500 currently working on Merchant Leatherworker. Nice. He actually got the next hide unlocked as well. He is the tier above ours, which is actually something we should be doing soon. Going and doing some more merchants so we can go back to Leatherworkers. Looks like he already did that, where he got his merchant level he needed to go do his next hide, and now is doing his next hide. We're not quite there yet. We can only go to 210 today, unfortunately, but we will at some point go to that next tier like he did. Let's see. Why can't you see the leaderboards? Members only? No, you can see it even when you're not a member, or I'm pretty sure you can. You have to go and enable it in your privacy settings, I believe. If you go to your privacy settings and change everything to pretty much on, you need to do that and then opt into the leaderboard. I believe there's something under here where you have to opt in. Because if you're not opted into the leaderboard, you can't see other people on the leaderboard. Once you are opted in, you will be able to see everyone. But, yeah, it just shows your ranks and where everyone else is if you ever want to check any friends or anything else. But it is a... Oh, never mind. It's not opt-in system anymore. I forgot. They changed that the other week. Well, I think you still have to be opted in the sense of not being anonymous. I believe if you're currently anonymous on the leaderboard, which I think might still be the default, basically you have to change leaderboard to on. Let me see. It's probably under settings right here. But somewhere's in here is the leaderboard, I believe. Or not? I have no clue where it is, actually. There's somewhere where you have to turn it on. Controls, default layouts. Yeah, I'm not sure where you turn it on now. Because they actually changed it the other week. Because it used to be right here, I believe. Is there anywhere on the leaderboard itself? Like right here? There might be if you go to this page and click on leaderboards, there might be a way to go into it. But yeah, I could have sworn it's under the privacy settings somewhere here. I don't see one here, though. I don't know, make sure all these are on and then double check. There it is, right there, right at the bottom. Who can see your name on the leaderboard? Make sure this is set to anybody. If this one is not set to anybody, it won't let you see it. Yeah, number 7, there it is. I didn't see it all the way at the bottom. But I thought this was just display your name, but that's the one for your name. But yeah, number 7 here has to be checked to anybody. If it's not, you won't be able to see leaderboard. Because if you don't have that checked, you'll just show up as anonymous on the leaderboard, and you can't check the leaderboard. But as long as you have that checked, you'll show up on the leaderboard, and we'll be able to see everyone else also on the leaderboard. But you can't check the leaderboard when you're not opted into the leaderboard. Oh, so hello, MK Jets as well. Hello, Zapera. Hello, Thomas. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope all's been well. But it is still technically an opt-in system in that regard. While everyone's auto-opt-in as far as their rank, to be able to see it and everything and have your name on it, it is still technically an opt-in system. Even though it does currently show true rank. Yeah, we should only need 1 or 2 more inventories and be done with Leatherworker. Probably go sell the next and bank the other. And then probably back to detective grind. Unless we want to go do some merchant today, but honestly. Probably just going to be doing detective until our service provider disconnects us. They said it would be anywhere from noon to 6. It is currently like almost 3:30. So we'll see how long it takes. But if we do randomly disconnect, no worries. Yeah, but we won't be coming back though. Because by the time they bring it back up in like an hour or 2, it's already going to be by the time I'm grabbing dinner. And then after that, I still have to do that Gems of War stream later tonight, which hopefully it doesn't interfere with the disconnect if they keep it down for a while. But the tech said it should only be like an hour or 2 when they do drop the internet. Not sure why they're doing it midday though. I guess they had some kind of critical error with something or something, I'm not sure. Because normally when they do that, they do it at like 2 or 3 a.m. at night. Which is like, yeah, that makes sense. But for whatever reason, they're doing it in like the dead of day today. $226 is the first 200 post venture. Yeah, it is really hard to get a post 200 venture. The easiest way is, oddly enough, if you really like fishing. Fishing is the easiest way to do it. Getting to 226 lets you do double oyster, which is the easiest to obtain venture in the game. Not only is it the lowest level of any venture, but it gives you 2 of them instead of 1. So if you are looking for just an easy to obtain double venture, well, easy, quote unquote easy, easiest. I wouldn't necessarily call it easy, but it is the easiest double venture to end up getting operational. Because right now, what I did to basically get mine operational is 231 mining and eventually 287 detective. That is not quick. 231 mining takes pretty much longer than 226 fishing, and you only get 1, not 2. You can't double grind this mining venture, but you can double do the fishing venture though. But yeah, that's the easiest way to get a double post 200 venture going, is to do the fishing one at 226 for oyster. As unlocking it gives you 2 of them instead of 1, whereas most other ventures are only 1. Like this detective one's only 1, this brimstone one's only 1, all the merchant ones are technically only 1. Even though there are 2 of them, the other one is currently locked, the brick one, the brick and tile one. You'll probably be able to do so in the future after they add some kind of quest where you unlock it, or Chapter 5 which will unlock it. I assume it's going to be some kind of quest before Chapter 5 comes out. And what I mean by that is this area over here. Even though it says I could do bricks and tiles, you actually can't. It's either quest locked or until Chapter 5 comes out locked. We don't know which. It seems like it's quest locked. There'll probably be a quest that's like a month before Chapter 5 comes out, where you're going to be able to do a quest to help them, and then you can start doing the brick and tile venture. But currently they are disabled, as there is no quest to unlock them, nor is there already Chapter 5 to unlock them. There's nothing to unlock them currently. That's probably on the list of things that will be quest reward space later down the line. Oh no, where did my cap go? No, I just dropped a water cap. And it's blending in because it's a black cap and I have black pants on right now. I got it. Fumbling the cap. Oh, one more level and we're at 2772. Got a mirror number. You just reached your second level 200 skill? Nice. Which one? Yeah, it always feels nice getting a 200 done. Getting 200 alchemy done yesterday felt so good. Especially after power grinding it all in a row. It feels so good getting a 200 in this game. Because 200 is effectively max level. It's not actually max level, obviously. But it's realistic max level. Or at least that's why I call it. But I don't know. To me, personally, I would say 200 all is basically max. Obviously, it still keeps going up. But for the average person, 200 all is like pretty much like the max most people will ever be willing to go. You might get like 100 here or there a little bit, but 200 is like the realistic endpoint. Because your XP rate after 200 is so slow. Like some people complain about the XP rate like once they hit level 20 compared to pre-20, which is basically like the tutorial levels. But yeah, the 200 hits a bit different. If you thought 20 to 200 was slow, wait till it takes 4 times as much EXP. Though the ventures are really good around this time. Post 200 ventures are really strong. So it kind of makes up for it a little bit, but active training is like 4 times worse. Same as your knowledge points. So hello, Mad Hatter. Welcome. Hope all's been well. Yeah, that's pretty much our game plan right now. Get 210 Leatherworker, and then basically, I guess, train Detective until we get disconnected. Just kind of chat, chill, and just relax this Monday. And then tomorrow I'll be doing a combination of Detective and finishing out Old School RuneScape Sleek. We'll do the half and half like we did after Thanksgiving. Wednesday, I'm not sure my full plan for Wednesday because it's kind of in between because I have a dentist appointment on Thursday that's going to be breaking up my entire day. So we won't be back to like full normal schedule probably until Friday. But if nothing else, that gives us a lot of time in between to go do the detective grind. As it is relatively AFK, so we're going to need to kind of need stuff to mix with it anyways. Just to kind of have a little bit to offset it. Just so we're not just standing AFK in the middle of a room over and over again. That already need a lot of discussion topics, either or. Because that's the only bad thing about training detective. It is very AFK, which is good for off-stream, but kind of bad for on-stream. As it's like 1 click, or, you know, 3 clicks every 3 minutes, basically. Roughly. So there's a lot of downtime with it. Compared to an average skill. It won't be once we reach 267, though. That's why I kind of want to rush there, because 267 is a very active training method. Whereas, until then, it's a very AFK method. Regardless if we're doing spotting thieves, which probably isn't even worth it here. Or doing the raid dens, either or. It's really AFK for the most part, whereas investigations are absurdly active. I'm probably even going to use the fear potion for the first time. Not sure what new mechanic comes here, but I know we had one earlier where we actually have to go to dangerous areas. I think it was this one right here, the demanding one, ended up making it so you can actually go to dangerous areas now. So those fear potions, the 9-minute fears that we made from alchemy, we're actually going to be needing those in order to go utilize them for the so we don't get attacked. Because there's a couple places where it brings you where it's dangerous. It brings you over here where you have to go past the spike balls, which are almost guaranteed to get hit unless everyone's populating them. You have to go over here to go and through the slime things, which are ranged, so you can't even do like a walk under skip on them. There's a few others. I think you even have to go to Zombie Road or something. So we are going to need those fear potions for the first time, where we're going to probably carry like 3 or 4 potions in our inventory and maybe try doing some merchant runs and just do a triple merchant set rather than a quad. Because, of course, some of our inventory will be taken up by actual potions and everything since they're not equipable yet. But that'll likely be our plan then. Just do a combination of merchant while doing detective 267. And just kind of go through that area. You made 6 gold already. And level 168 alch. You will push the 100 leather, then you will go back to alchemy. Nice. Yeah, the end of alchemy gets really costly if you didn't do forager. The end of alchemy is pretty cheap if you did the forager grind. Because you have like the 164 heal potion with the 62%, or 32 I mean. You have the 185 stuff, which requires some post 200 forager, like up to 209. But when you do, you can get it for free. But it's pretty expensive otherwise. That's where we actually burnt most of our money, was making the 10% hope port potions. We ended up spending like 9 gold just on hope port 10%. And we only did it for like 4 hours. But spent like 8-9 gold from a little over 4 hours of them. I'll bank this one and then sell the last one then. Because I need to go head over there anyways to go back to the detective grind. So hello B, welcome, welcome. Hope all's been well. And as soon as we get this level, we'll go back to detective. Gosh, I can't wait till Cool Bubble Potion. When's that quest coming in? When are requests in general coming in? I need them so badly. I'm normally not like the biggest quest guy. And we generally just like mash through them and everything. But I absolutely love the way Andrew Gower, and of course technically Ultra RuneScape because it's based on his work, ends up doing quest rewards. Because they actually feel meaningful. Like the quest itself, the quest rewards that you get from them, everything else like that. And I'm really curious to see what he does for quest reward space in Brighter Shores. Because if it's anything like what he did for RuneScape the last time around, they should be really, really, really good. Like, we already got a lot of amazing ones. Let's see, the ability to play the game. Let's see, what are all the options you get? You get the Chapter 1 Obelisk unlocked. You get the doubling of your storage. You get the ability to play the game. You get the ability to make 4-star equipment. Like, there's some pretty decent ones out there. A few other utility ones here and there, but those are like the biggest ones. Access to Chapter 1 Obelisk. Doubling untuned space. Storage rifts, aka actually be able to do any gathering skill in the game properly. The ability to make 4-star gear. And those are all the pretty big ones. There are a few that have like some other rewards, like a shortcut or something, but they're not as big as those few. But I'm hoping we get a lot more like that. Super high impact quests that really help give you utilities or gear or anything really. If Gower is not to HLC, does that mean no monument reward? No, he ended up clarifying after. He actually made another post after the fact, which I don't think I ever posted because he technically deleted both of them a little while after. But he did make a second post saying that he wasn't against the high-level community and respects all players. It's just that he was mostly talking about wasting his time with leaderboard and won't make that mistake again. But he tried clarifying, but then deleted both the messages. But I don't think I ever posted his clarification because he deleted it, like, I think a few hours later or something. But no, he did make a clarification post that he wasn't actually referring to the high-level community directly and that he respects all players and, you know, blah, 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 stuff like that. He didn't want to really sound like he was attacking, like, a part of the player base. But then he just ended up deleting everything, including, like, the slight apology kind of message. But no, he was just mentioning wasting time updating the leaderboard and everything. Not necessarily that he's against the high-level community, which is the way that it looked like the first time around. But no, he did make a clarification after, just both of them got deleted. And the clarification didn't get as much coverage, and I wasn't really able to cover it either. Because they were both deleted by the time we ever streamed again. Because it was done, like, in between the stream times. So I was never able to actually cover it on stream. But yeah, he did make, like, a little, like, mini apology or clarification. But both of them got deleted, so they're not even up anymore. But yeah, he's not against the high-level community. It would always sound like that a little bad at first. He was mostly just referring to wasting time doing the leaderboard and everything. Which, I don't know. I wouldn't say that's a waste of time. I personally love how the new leaderboard is. Because now we can see we're currently 19th of anyone who's willing to actually show themselves. Anonymous people don't count. But now we can actually see that we're actually 27th. Because all the hidden people. And now we actually know. Like, we don't have to guess. Like, before, it would just show that we're 19th right now, but we're actually 27th. Like, it doesn't really affect us, because we don't really care about leaderboard ranks. They're fun to chase a little bit here and there. But I don't plan to ever, like, super go out of my way for them. If it's something that we're already doing, and it seems like a stretch goal that we'd kind of realistically do, I'll be like, okay, yeah, we'll go for it. We're generally not going to go super out of our way just to grind for something leaderboard related. It's better just to grind for things we actually need. And if we happen to get leaderboard that way, then we get leaderboard that way. And if we don't, we don't. Because right now, the easiest way for us to go take leaderboard is stop doing any post 200 and just start going 200, 200, 200, 200. Start doing combat 200, 200, 200. but that's not what we're playing right now, because we're going for things we actually need rather than just number go up for leaderboard. Though I do need a 200 these at some point, though. Because if I don't before the combat rework, I will feel tempted to go back to them at some point. Not because we need them, but just to even out the numbers a bit. In case they add some kind of raid or boss that uses other mechanics. Because they did mention they're going to be adding multi-skilling to bossing and stuff like that in the future. So you're probably going to need more than just combat to take out a boss. Like a Mines Matubin boss could very easily require a mining level requirement. Either to get extra loot or to be able to do a part of the boss fight or something else. You have a 200 level lead on leaderboard, but if you slack, we need more to go anonymous. True, true. Our level will skyrocket the second combat comes out. Because we're going for 3 200s immediately. Though then it will slow down once we start going for 500. But honestly, I don't think it's going to slow down that much. It's going to go slow down in the same sense of someone going for 500 detective. Where if you're going for, 500 merchant, I mean. Because if you're going for 500 merchant, you're still gaining like 1 billion levels. Because of how quick your XP is. And it's basically going to be us when we do a 500 combat. Like, yeah, it's post 500, but it's going to be like one of the quickest post 500s in the entire game. Even quicker than merchant, we'll have to see. We don't know how broken the rework's going to be yet. Alright, anyways, back to the detective grind. Welcome to our home for the next few days. At least until we get 267 detective. Honestly, should I start dumping my knowledge into detective? I feel tempted to. I'm just not sure if it's worth bringing the 7% out just to do that. Because we are a little bit limited in how many 7% we made. But I'm slightly tempted to go do that. And start dumping all my knowledge into detective. Just to speed through this little bit of a deader area that we're in. Maybe not quite yet. I'd probably wait till 258. The reason I say not yet is I can actually still utilize the AFK activity right now. With the binocular boost. But I won't be able to do that after 258. So I think after 258 we start using 7% boost a little bit here and there. Just a little bit, not a lot. Like a few of them. Maybe the 6%. Like a nice in between. Save the 7% for the board. For when we start taking that at 287. Because I think is the game plan. So hello, Sonny. Thank you for the like. Greatly, greatly appreciated. But yeah, if you guys haven't left a like on the stream, helps a lot. And is greatly, greatly appreciated as well. Helps people find the channel and everything. Especially when we're doing a really shorter stream like today. Is we're probably going for, I don't know, what, about another hour? Or until our service provider cuts us off? It's one of the reasons I wanted to do stream now before it actually cut off. Because I didn't want to have to do it at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night or something. So I figured I'd do it now, and if we just randomly get disconnected, we get randomly disconnected. Because we're not doing anything too important today. It's kind of just chilling and chatting. Honestly, this is going to be the next several days, honestly. Because the gameplay you're seeing right now is like our life for the next like 3-4 days, pretty much until this says 267. Once we get 267, we can start playing the game again, though. But until 267, this is like our entire gameplay. Luckily, this is super AFK on Steam Deck. I absolutely love this for Steam Deck. There's a few things that are really, really good to do. And gosh, Raid Den resetting is so free on Steam Deck. I can't wait till a mobile version comes out, because stuff like this is just like perfect for it. Like, this is like the mobile activity you'd want to do. Just randomly have this running in the background. Getting your free... it's really good knowledge per hour. This is like 3 knowledge an hour. And the best part is after the combat rework, this is 0% penalty. Right now, I think I'm getting like 20-21% penalty right now. But after the rework, this will be 0% penalty. Because right now, we're getting penalized by 20%. But after the combat rework, all enemies will scale to 10 levels below you. So if this was the combat merging already happening, this would be a level 235 instead of a 219. He'd still be given the same amount of XP, but he wouldn't have the 20% penalty. So he'd be stronger and a little bit bulkier as far as time to kill. But he would have a 0% penalty rather than a 20% penalty. What's relevant about this is your detective XP also gets affected by this, not just your combat XP. Like this detective XP drop right here is affected by that minus 20%. But going forward, after the combat merge, you will no longer see that penalty at all. Which means you will no longer get the detective penalty. It'll be a little bit harder to kill them, and you'll have to keep maintaining your gear and stuff to keep up and everything more often than you do now. Because right now our gear is good for, forever. It's not going to fall off ever at this point for this raid. We're good to go at this point. But in the future, They're going to keep scaling to 10 levels under you, so you might need a gear upgrade here and there in order to actually keep, you know, either killing them quickly or similar. But at least they won't have the penalty anymore. They won't have the minus 20% penalty. So it's both easier and harder to do after the rework. It's like a weird in-between. I realize like it comes down to how much power you get from the obelisk, on how much easier it is or harder. Because we don't really know how much power that is. We know it's going to be stronger than now, obviously, because you can min-max a bit more. But we don't know truly how powerful the combat merge is going to be. But we'll find out when it happens. We'll definitely be messing with it a lot. Like, we're pretty much combat only for months after the combat rework. We are going into combat so hard. We'll definitely mess with everything that can be done. Yeah, you get a lot of knowledge from this. It's only about 3 an hour, give or take a little bit. But depending on your penalty. But it is so AFK. It's 3 knowledge an hour, but it's 3 clicks per reset every 3 minutes or so. So it balances out pretty well. It's just the most chill way to get knowledge in the entire game. Even on my alt accounts, sometimes when they need a knowledge point, and one of them actually does, I'll probably do it off stream later, rather than bothering right now. But instead of doing like a merchant rush like we did that one day when we were doing it, normally how I do it is I just leave them AFK in a raid den. And just have them go back and forth a couple times, or several times until they have a knowledge point. It's just the easiest way to go get them a knowledge. It's not the quickest way to do it, but it's the least amount of effort per knowledge. And of course, you can dump knowledge into anything in the entire game. I am very considering putting it into detective soon, though, rather than smithing. Because I'm not sure if I'm making a weapon out of my smithing thing. I don't know, if I could get it to 250, I think a 250 longsword is better than what I'm using. The problem is, unless I pivot to something else, I'm not going to be able to get enough knowledge into blacksmith to get that high. So I might just start dumping into detective, just so we don't have to do detective as much. I just don't want to do it prior to 258, though. Because I'd rather be utilizing the AFK activity, because it's actually the strongest AFK you can do for detective. It's the one that has magnifying glass. The reason why this is strongest is I believe every other detective activity cannot be boosted by a tool. However, one that can is stakeouts. Stakeouts use binoculars. And there are 2 areas where they are really good. One is this exact area right now that we're in. And the other area is right over here. Where was it? The 231 stakeout to 441. Those 2 are really, really, really good. You don't get to use the binoculars often, but when you do, they fill a really nice gap. One of them being the gap that we're in now, and the other one being the gap before the final raid den. You don't use them much, but when you do, you get a lot of value from them. Because depending on how upgraded you have them, you save probably an extra few hours compared to other passives that you do from detective. As all the other detective things aren't boosted, but that one is. Everyone's anonymous, so Tastic can be top page. Conspiracy theory. You wonder if when trading comes out, if we will be able to banknotes? No. They confirmed there will be no banknotes. They're not doing banknotes this time around. Oh yeah, we got a Steam Deck the other week. It works really, really well. I've been enjoying it a lot on Steam Deck. I haven't really been playing too many other games, though. Because for whatever reason, it won't identify my Old School RuneScape account properly. And it's not worth going through the support channels to make that work. Especially since their game is on fire at the moment. So I highly doubt their support is working too well. So I'm not even going to bother with that. I'll just play it on phone if I want to play on a mobile device. But beyond that, yeah, I haven't really played much on it. I definitely plan to do Slay the Spire 2 when it comes out later this year. But it's not out yet. I haven't really used it much for other than literally just Brighter Shores. I do plan to, though. I just haven't really used it for anything other than Brighter Shores yet. Because the few other games I play that I would need it for, I normally just play on the mobile version rather than on the Steam Deck. It would definitely work really good for any controller-related game, though. But there's not too many controller-related games I really play at the moment. And if they are, they're Nintendo Switch exclusives. Or soon-to-be Switch 2 exclusives. And no, I'm not going to illegally emulate it on the Switch deck. I mean, Steam Deck, I mean. Even though they would perform better on the Steam Deck. Switch Deck is a good name. Honestly, I find it really funny that the Switch 2 is literally just called the Switch 2. They didn't want to do the same mistake with the Wii, where they did like a Wii U. Because I wonder how much different it would have been if the Wii U was called the Wii 2 instead of the Wii U. Obviously, we still would have tanked, but I wonder how much less it would have tanked if it was called Wii 2 instead of Wii U. Because I think they learned it from their mistake last time. So now they're just adding a 2 at the end. They're going the PlayStation route. Simplicity. Let's just add an extra number at the end. How much gold do you need from 170 to 200? What potion are you doing? Because the answer is big number. If you're doing like the best potion you can at any given range. It's like the deadest zone. Like that's where you burn like 80% of the money from 0 to 200. It's from like 170 to 200. Because if you have none of that banked, that's over 10 gold, if not like 15 to 20 gold, depending on how you're going about it. Also, I already had the Arborite potions banked, but if you didn't, that was also an extra, like what, 1.5 gold at the end, which I already had pre-banked. Also, does anyone know about how many levels do you have to be above anyone who does combat a lot? Does anyone know about how many levels you have to be above a 4-star weapon for the 3-star weapon of the same kind to be better than it? Because I'm not sure if a 240 longsword is better than a 206 longsword. Or no, I'm not sure if a 243 star is better than a 206 4-star. Because if it is, I should make the upgrade. But I have no clue if it is or isn't. Not sure if there's a calculator somewhere that does that, or if anyone just generally knows. Because I haven't done combat in so long, I actually have no clue. Like, obviously it's like almost 40 levels higher. But, there's no special attacks at the moment, so it's just base stats, the only thing that matters. Because if we can get 10-20 more damage from upgrading our longsword, we probably should be. It's not that much of a percent increase, though. For how much time it would take to make, maybe it's not worth it. Because we're only talking about, at best, like a 5% increase in damage. So it's probably not worth it. For the amount of time it would take to make and resources and everything. 5% just not enough. So about 25 gold? I would say about 20-ish gold, but yeah, you're going to spend a lot in that area. Depending on which ones you want to prioritize. Like if you want to get like max HP pots or anything. I personally skip the max HP pots. But yeah, 20 gold should be enough. Also, hello Jeffrey! Welcome, welcome. Keep in mind, it might be worthwhile training something else and just dumping knowledge into it as well. If you want to get past some of the dead zone. Because 170 to 200 is the most expensive thing going to 200 alchemy. But knowledge works the exact same way there than it did at any previous level. So if you don't mind going on a few day tangent of doing merchant or anything else for knowledge, even this, just AFKing these, could be a way around it. Could just dump all the knowledge into alchemy. I actually did that for some of the amount as well. We ended up on one of the days when we were doing Stonewall Hill. We were doing Stonewall Hill from 158 to like 178. And then I did the other 7 levels, AFK, doing raid dens, basically. Basically what I'm doing now. But I did 178 to 185. That 7 level range, doing basically exactly what we're doing now at that range. Because I was just skipping everything by doing Stonewall Hill. And Stonewall Hill by that point was such absurdly slow XP rate that I just ended up knowledging past it. We still did 20 levels of them. But it was just such a dead area that I just decided to knowledge through some of it. And then we went all in on Hopeport, and then we already had these banked. But that saved a lot of money. It saved roughly 3 gold. Which, you know, isn't like a lot, but, you know, it adds up. But yeah, it saved about 3 gold doing that. So I like how you can just pause the fight and just go right back. It's like, wait, gotta drink this potion real quick. Alright, now we go back to fighter. Oh yeah, I really love the longsword. You know what it really reminds me of? There's actually a couple weapons that he has that looks like them. It reminds me of the God Wars dungeon weaponry from RuneScape back in 2007. This sword reminds me of the Sarah Domin God Sword. Or not the God Sword, whatever that one smaller sword is that she has. The Sarah Sword. This reminds me a lot of the Sarah Sword. And his freeze two-hand looks so much like the Zamorak God Sword. It might even have a freeze effect similar to it when special attacks come out. But yeah, this reminds me of Sarah Sword, and the bigger ice one that he has for his two-hand reminds me of the God Swords. Particularly the Zammy one. Because when you think of like a freeze God Sword, Zammy's the one that does the freeze. I'm really curious to see if it'll do the same. I really hope it does. If the freeze two-hand for Cryo Knight is just Zamorak God Sword spec, that'd be so funny. I really, really, really hope it is. I know it's probably not going to be, but I really hope it is. It would be so funny. Because it already somewhat looks like it, but if it has the same exact special attack, or, you know, a similar special attack, where it freezes the enemy in place and does extra damage to them, that'd be so funny. It would make sense. It's an ice two-hand. What else is ice two-hand gonna do? Not freeze them in place? What's even funny is the final version of it looks gold. And I want to go show something real quick. I don't think I've ever actually seen them side by side. I want to go check something real quick. Because this might actually be really, really funny. Longsword. I want to check something. So this is what a... not lobster, longsword. Longsword. I want to go show something real quick. Because I think this might actually look really similar. I've never actually seen them side by side. I wish this had the in-game model, because the in-game model looks a lot more like it than this one does. I wish there was an in-game model thing here. I can't show it because I'm not a high enough combat. You need to be like post 400 to start getting this thing. But yeah, this doesn't give it justice though. The in-game model looks so much more similar. Unfortunately, I don't think the wiki has an image of it. Let's see. Is this one? No, it's the same one. This isn't going to quite do it, though. I'll still go show it real quick. But yeah, this is the longsword. It's not going to look quite the same, though. I wish I had it in-game to show the difference. Or how close it is. But, let's see. There it is. The Blessed Aerodomin Sword. The Blessed Aerodomin Sword and all of its goldness. Gosh, this just doesn't do it justice unless you saw both the in-game models, though. Oh, you can see this one on it. But this compared to... I really wish there was an image of this being held. Because they are actually so surprisingly similar. If you ever see someone actually using this in-game. Compared to how this looks in-game. They look actually so absurdly similar. Obviously, they're different. But if you ever see them, like, the actual model in-game side by side, they are, like, 70% the same. Obviously, there's only so much you can do with, like, a longsword kind of thing like that, but still. Because they both have, like, that really golden, like, you know, like, longsword kind of whacking kind of thing. Even has a similar animation, too. Seeing that one preview image doesn't give it justice, though. Compared to actually seeing, like, the full thing in-game. We won't have it for a while, though. The earliest you start seeing is, like, mid-400s. As far as seeing that longsword as a drop. And we are nowhere near a mid-400 combat. Oh! It's time to go do our dailies! Nice. Let's go do a daily run. Oh no, I don't have any knowledge to go spend. No! I don't know. Should I go and wait until we get an extra knowledge point? I feel tempted to. The problem is it's going to take a while, so I might just 7% boost it without it. That's unfortunate. I'm going to have to waste a 7% pot on just a mining boost. It's not ideal. But I'm going to have to. Oh, Zan's doing the AFK thing. I wonder what he's been training other than that. Because he's not on leaderboard, so we can't actually spy on what he's doing. I wonder if he's doing the same grind we are right now. Try to get to that 267 so we can start doing investigations directly. That already just needs an AFK activity. Because that is generally the go-to AFK activity in the game currently. Raid dens. But yeah, I'm just going to waste my 7% pot here. That's fine. It's not too big a deal. I prefer not using them this way and at least getting like one knowledge dip on it. But not too big a deal. As long as we try to dip them normally. But we can do one undipped potion. Because normally if I'm using a potion here, I want to get at least like a knowledge point or two in. But it's not required. It's just nice to have. Given that we have a limited supply of these. While they will last us a while, they're not going to last us forever. But that's what player trading is for. So we can just buy them for some other players. Not sure how much these would cost, but I don't know, they can't be too much. They're like 3 silver to make. It would cost like what, 10 silver, 15 silver max? Hopefully a bit under 10. It really comes down to how much is production time priced at. Is it something we don't know with a lot of products? Like what's the XP ratio relative to time to produce cost going to be on a lot of items? Because of course they're also getting the value from actually getting the XP. So the potions could technically be worth a lot less because of that. Because you're getting the XP and the potion. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. It's hard to tell. For all I know, it could be as low as like 4 silver. Could be as high as like 20 or 25. Yeah, how many explosives are we up to? We are at 336 explosive. Not bad. Oh, also nice. Our level range right now. We're at 2772. Nice. Also, we're really close to 246 here. It's actually beating out our mining smithing right now, oddly enough. Which is actually one of the reasons why I'm dumping everything into mining smithing. They're like the 2 cornerstones of how I want to prep for combat. Or into the combat merge. Because mining smithing helps us to make equipment. For whenever we're in a bad dead zone where we just don't get lucky on a weapon. Though if trading's out by then, we could also trade for it, but it's a lot more consistent just to make our own. Even if trading's out. And then for the other range, I need detective so I could do... Well, for one, this is our highest combat, so whenever we get to mess with the skill tree, this would be the first place we mess around with it heavily. Because we have a lot of combat here. Well, relative to the other 3 chapters. Not like out of 500, we're not even halfway there. However, out of our other 3 skills, it is way up there. But also because we need that detective. Get a detective grind done now. So we don't have to do it as much when we go do the 500-500 grind. Because we are doing 500-500 simultaneously. Which is you have to do some detective breaks in between there. So might as well do some of the detective break now, because the detective doesn't get any better. The amount of combat XP we can get from these raid dens would probably be a little bit better. But other activities, like the investigations that you're pretty much forced to have to do in some dead zones, those don't get any better. Unless they're doing like a shadow buff to them or something. But like the 267 thing, that doesn't get any better. This venture doesn't get any better. This the AFK activities don't get any better. This other investigation doesn't get any better. The final investigation that we need after we get 500 combat doesn't get any better. The combat rework doesn't help those. It helps you get there quicker, but it doesn't help those activities directly. So I might as well do some of the dead zone now so we don't have to do it after the combat merge. Less time we have to do doing detective directly. More time doing combat while doing detective. Which ironic because we're doing combat detective right now, but a little bit different. Also, hello Grumskin! How's it going? It's been going pretty well. It has been well so far today. So after I stream, and after I grab a bite to eat, I might just go get a haircut as well. I've been meaning to since the winter. because I've been letting it grow out, and I think it's finally time to go shave it all off. Because my hair's starting to get really long. Not like really, really long, but long to how long I normally keep it. I normally let it grow out for the winter. I think it's mostly the beard. My beard's actually longer than my head here right now. Like, it's nearly like a foot long already. You finally hit level 1000 yesterday? Nice! Huge milestone. Nice, nice. Not even halfway. That's still good progress. Like I always mention it. Honestly, anything over level 1000 right now is still really high. I think some people kind of forget like the scope of this game sometimes. Because honestly, even 1000 is absurdly, absurdly high. Obviously, there's people that went like super crazy higher than that. But even something as high as 1000 still takes a lot of time. Like, that's no short grind. It's like hundreds of hours still. Especially when you compare it to people who might have quit after the storyline. Like if they just completed the storyline or just like waiting for new content. Because most of those people only got to like level 350 to 500. So if you're already at 1000, you're like more than double them. Like the people who stopped pretty much after finishing storyline. Or, you know, main storyline. Not all the side quests. You're nearly at 400 hours? Nice. Yeah, what are we at these days? We're nearly at 1000. We gotta go cover the 1000 hour video soon. Because 70 more hours. Which at current rate, honestly, is pretty much a week. Especially with the Steam Deck AFK. Notice when I said that we do get Steam Deck, this number would start going up. It was at 130 the other week. It's already at 150 now. In the last 2 weeks. The Steam Deck has helped us so much. We're already up like 20 hours. Compared to the other last 2 weeks. Yeah, this game literally convinced me to get a Steam Deck. I've had some friends try to convince me and a few other things. And it was literally this game that ultimately convinced me and the community around the game. And also the generosity of a lot of people between like the ad revenue and other various donations has really greatly helped with that. Because to some degree, we basically got a Steam Deck for free just from ad revenue alone. Even more than that from ad revenue, but you know what I mean. Like it was basically a free Steam Deck, which is greatly, greatly appreciated from everyone's support. The ad revenue is definitely slowed down like a ton, because obviously there's not as many people playing Brighter Shores now. But the first month was actually kind of insane. I think it was the most or second most I ever made in 1 month in 9 years of doing YouTube. January and February is pretty dead for the ad revenue, though. That's a bit just because Brighter Shores player base is kind of pretty low right now. But also because it's a lot of companies redoing their like ad deals and everything. Because normally they make a big push for, you know, the holidays and everything in like November and December. But then it's kind of dead around January, February. But yeah, YouTube's like notoriously dead around this time. Which is fine though, because like every job in this area kind of is too. I'm in a really tourist heavy area. So during the winter time, there's like no good jobs in the area. Because a lot of them are like seasonal based, more so during the summer. Or like late spring, early fall. But YouTube is notoriously dead in January, February. It's the 2 months you make the absolute least regardless what you're doing. You Steamcast to your iPod? Yeah, that's what I was doing some too. I was doing that to my phone. But the only problem is, it doesn't scale too well to the screen. They do have an official mobile version that they have in-house that has a lot of better scaling for phone, but it's not released to the public yet. They're likely, they mentioned they'll be likely releasing it sometime after 1.0, which is after Chapter 5, which is after like 6 months from now, if not longer. But yeah, later this year we should probably get a officially supported mobile version, so people without a Steam Deck would still be able to play it on the go. There we go, 246, 246. We're making progress. I'm not sure if I'll reach that 248 today, though. But yeah, tomorrow's plan is we're going to be multitasking this with probably the last day of Old School RuneScape's League. Because otherwise our total content will be exactly what we're doing right now. So just for a little bit extra variety tomorrow, we will be doing that. This is the final day and I've been putting it off. I think I only need like 2,000 or 3,000 more points. I go a little bit extra and try to do some bossing or something though. I will see. I still haven't done a stream for actual Old School RuneScape yet. We've done like 7 by that point for the League of Old School RuneScape. I haven't actually streamed normal Old School RuneScape since Brighter Shores launch. Our last stream of it was like early to mid-October. It's been over 3 months since we've done a stream. Though there isn't much to really recap as far as progress. It's actually very quick to recap what has happened. All that happened within that time is this. What has my account done in the last 3 months? Aside from doing the Old School RuneScape League and unlocking like the cosmetics you get from that. But beyond that, this has been its life. It just sits at this tree and prays to RNG gods that it will get Beaver before 200 mil max XP. Because we're at 23.8 million XP and still do not have Beaver. But this has been our account's life for 3 months straight. It wakes up, it clicks throughout the entire day trying for Beaver, and it is currently 3 times dry, if not more. And for over 1,000 hours, it's just been clicking on trees. Pretty much every second we've played Brighter Shores is our guy just clicking on a tree. Getting unlucky on not getting pet. At someday he will earn that woodcutting pet. And I'm not stopping till he gets it. Even if I have to go post 200 mil. We are not stopping hitting that tree until there's a beaver following us. That also has a bunch of transmogs that we can make into a fox and a bird and a colored beaver. They added like 1 billion transmogs to that thing. I have them all unlocked already as well. I just don't have the pet. I have all the transmogs for it. Yeah, we really do need a major update soon. It's why I keep pivoting the pivot into other pivots. Because honestly, every pivot I have is just for future content. But none that we can't actually utilize any of it because none of that future content's in the game yet. The combat merge is probably going to be the biggest thing that's happening in the next few months. Honestly, probably even this entire year. It might honestly be bigger than launch. As far as how big of an impact it has on the game. Like, the 2 biggest things happening this entire year, the few absolute biggest, like the behemoth of behemoths. I honestly don't even consider trading as one of them. I consider, like, the 3 biggest behemoth updates this year being the combat overhaul, which should be the first one of the 3. the release of Chapter 5 and or 1.0, and the release of the first raid and or multiple bosses. Whatever one they end up doing. Those are like the 3 biggest things that are probably happening this year, or guaranteed to happen this year. The last one isn't, but the other 2 are very likely, or guaranteed pretty much. In that order are the ones that are going to be like the biggest things. The combat merge, which should be in the next month to few months. The launch of the game with Chapter 5, or whatever order they do it in, which is roughly 3 to 6 months. And then them adding bossing and or raids to the game, which they did say is happening after 1.0. We just don't know if it'll make it this year or not. There's a chance it doesn't make it until next year, but it could make it at the end of this year. Like multiple different bosses as well as the first raid in the game. Likely more of an early to mid-game raid than a super end-game one, though. So we'll have to wait and see. But 2 of those 3 is guaranteed. The launch of the game, Chapter 5, with Chapter 5 as well as the combat merging. Both of those are guaranteed in the next, like, 6-ish months. The other parts are not as guaranteed. They've mentioned they're doing it after 1.0, but it could be after this year. I feel like they would at least try to get a boss or few in by then, though. I'm not sure if they would get a raid in by the end of this year, though. But as far as the first boss or the first few bosses, I feel like they would. That's a lot more likely than a full raid. Yeah, there's pretty much the whole gameplay loop right now. Is grind for whatever the upcoming content is, then do the upcoming content, and then grind for the next upcoming content. Oh no, I feel like a lot of MMOs are like that too. Like, I do the same in Old School RuneScape before I max. Like, if I knew there was a big update that would have a requirement of, like, level 80 for something, and it was only, like, level 70-something, you know, then we just go and grind until we were good to go. But, I don't know, you kind of do that in every MMO. It's just right now, that's, like, the entire gameplay loop of Brighter Shores right now. Is grind for future content rather than current content. Mostly because there's so little current content that you can be grinding. So you basically have to grind for the future. Whereas in other MMOs, you could choose either or. You'd either grind for current or for future. But for Brighter Shores right now, you basically have to grind for the future. There's not much you can grind for the current state of the game. But no, I don't mind that. You already do that in other MMOs. Like, I know before Voldemort Part 1 ended up coming out, I ended up grinding a few things up. Like, I made sure my Hunter was over level 91 so that we could do the Hunter contracts at max level. I still have never actually done a Hunter contract at lower than the max 2 levels. Just because you never need to if you already have the level range. But I made sure to do that preemptively. And like a few of the things related to that. Gear-wise for some of the bossing there and such. But, yeah, there's always things you could prep for. In any MMO. It's just right now, that's the only thing you can do in Brighter Shores is prep for updates. But the 2 biggest ones right around the corner being not PvP, being the combat merge and trading are the 2 biggest ones you could be prepping for right now. And I'm definitely planning for the combat merge more than trading right now. You can tell by my current gold stack of 2 gold. The solo doesn't even say 2 gold, that's basically 2 gold. But yeah, we're definitely prepping more for combat merge than we are for trading. Well, it's because I don't plan to do trading too much. I plan to enable it, but I don't plan to go too crazy with it, I don't think. At least not initially. I don't know, we'll see. I want to enable it trading just so we have the option. If we want to use it, we can. If we want to ignore it for like a month straight, we can. Or if we want to abuse like literally every mechanic it has, we also can. It just gives us more gameplay option. The only problem with disabling trading is we don't get to access any of those features. It's basically exactly how the game is now. Which of course is still great, like how the game is now. I don't know, having more features is nice compared to not more features. And if we ever just don't want to engage with it, we can just ignore it at any given time. Like, just because we have trading enabled doesn't mean we have to be, like, trading every day. Or even every week. Initially, we might, just to, you know, mess around with it and everything. But there might be weeks or months we might go without even trading, despite having it enabled. I don't know, it really just depends. Because we don't really know where the market's going to be on a lot of things. And also with no automatic system, you got to do it manually, which can be really annoying. Oh yeah, the combat merge, honestly, with how I plan to do the combat merge, it'll keep me busy for about 3 to 4 months. Just the combat merge alone. Not even counting any other grind. Like, literally just the combat merge. Already planned at least like 3 months ahead of what we're doing for it. That's pretty straightforward. 200 Hope Port, 200 Hope Fars, 500 Mind of Matubin, 500 Chronopolis, into 500 Detective. Because they're basically attached together. Not literally, but they are basically attached. There's technically only 3 skills in Chapter 5. Even though there are some different aspects of them, Detective and Watch Person are essentially the same skill. They're like 80% the same skill. Sometimes you have to do combat without Detective or do Detective without combat. But like 70-80% of the time you're just merging them together, like we are right now. Also, for the first time in a while, our Detective XP is going to get higher than our combat. Which is kind of the whole point of what we're doing. Because we're eventually going to get to like 260-ish combat. Maybe 265. But then end up having like a level 300-something Detective level. Because at some point, we're going to be like 260-something. With a Detective around like this area. And then when the combat merge comes out, we go and do our combat until we can do the 344 raid dens comfortably. And then we go and, you know, farm them up like crazy then. And just go out of our way to do combat in between then, as needed. But that is the game plan. And once we do start doing those investigations, they're actually not bad for gold. They make about as much as Merchant does right now. The 267 investigations about as good as 216 Merchant. Obviously, it's quite a bit of a higher level compared to Merchant. But they both make about the same amount per hour. And that they both make a little over a gold an hour. We'll need to see exactly, though, because I'm not sure exactly what it comes out to, because I've never done them yet. But they should be pretty comparable. 216 Merchant compared to 267 Detective. It requires like 50 extra levels, but they both make about the same amount of gold per hour. It's just Detective things are way more chill, though, compared to Merchant. Plus, I might even throw some Merchant in while we're doing Detective, we'll see. Because if I ever have to teleport through this area, which we definitely will for investigations, I might just grab some bounties that are, like, en route. Because Detective gets you, like, absolutely everywhere. You gotta go over here, you gotta go over there. I'm not sure if you have to go over there, but we can just always ignore them. I know for sure you have to go to the farm, you have to go to the sewers, which brings you through all this area. You have to go to the merchant place, or the servant place over there. You have to go to the inn, where the chef is. You have to go all the way to the bottom, where all your other turn-ins are. It brings you pretty much everywhere where a merchant run would eventually go. And even if we have a bunch of potions in our inventory, we can still have 3 sets of merchant items on us. Which is still a lot. We'll never be able to run 4 sets, but we'll be able to run 3 sets with us. Plus, I might even start looting some of the chests that are in some of the areas. Like these. But, you know, there's a lot of areas that you go to when you go to an investigation. They have a bunch of chests right around them. That have various drops. Most notably bricks for Chapter 5. Which I might just sell all my bricks. These people are probably going to pay a pretty penny for them. With how sparse they are in the current state of the game. But we don't currently know. Like, what would a coarse brick go for? You could probably mass buy them from a shop for like 1 silver each. But I don't know, are people willing to pay like 3, 5, 10 silver each for them? We don't really know where the market is on that, as far as people wanting them. Because right now they have literally zero value, in the sense that there's nothing you can use them on. But the second Chapter 5 comes out, people might want to have a huge stock of them. But currently they're worthless. But they're worthless in the same sense that leather is worthless. In that they're not worthless at all. They're worthless in the sense that they have no use case at the moment. But are not worthless in the sense that what their use case is absurdly good. It's just not in the game yet. Alright, get that double dip. And I'm still putting this on smithing. In case I do want to go for a weapon upgrade or something. I do eventually need to start getting that mining up though. We need to get 262, 262 I think it was. 262 for platinum and 262 or 267 for... yeah, it's 267, yeah. There's 262 mining and 267 smithing we need. So the level disparity between them can get a little bit from each other if they want. 247 we can start mining properly again. Unfortunately it's for stone though. And at 267 we have our smithing level we need for the Flatiniums, so we can make our longsword, aka the weapon we're using right now, at a higher level range. And with the plus 60 extra, we'll be able to go pretty high with it. Because even if we only had 267, what is that? 267 plus 60 is 327. You'd be able to make up to a 327 weapon, which is not too bad. Still quite away from 500, but it's not bad. And we'd have that within like a few weeks. So if the combat merges in a few weeks, we'd have that by then. Or hopefully we do. The 267 mining into, or sorry, the 262 mining into 267 smithing, which allows us to make a 327 longsword. Hey, where's the poll currently at? After 28 votes. I might be running this poll back tomorrow as well. Worded a little bit differently. For when we do the longer stream. After 28 votes, we have the following. Which Brighter Shores update are you prepping for the most right now? Trading/official Iron Man mode is at 29%. Combat merge and rework, which yeah, seems like the biggest one that most people are working towards, including ourselves, is at 43%. 7% is prepping for PvP, and 21% are prepping for Chapter 5. Though for tomorrow, I'll probably say Chapter 5 / new quests. Because new quests kind of go in that category too. Like just the existence of new quests. They're both slightly different how you prep for them. However, they're both kind of in the same category, like Chapter 5 / new quests. So the prep that you do for both is slightly different. Because how you prep for Chapter 5 is you do Merchant, you do Leatherworker, you get 500 Watch Person. Maybe Detective to go with it, but definitely Watch Person. You potentially get these up a decent amount. You go and get, what else do you need for it? You get a bunch of 6%, 7% Stonewall Hills. I don't think most people are going to bother for the other range, though. But if you really want to commit, get 500 Alchemy. I don't think most people are doing that, though. But there's one angle to prep for Chapter 5. Is literally max your Alchemy so you can make 8% and 10% pots. That's more so prepping for trading, I feel like, though. Because those things are going to go for an arm and a leg when Chapter 5 comes out. Just due to how hard it is to get there. Due to the 470 plus Alchemy requirement. Which is absurdly high, to say the least. Basically the last potion you make with normal Alchemy currently. It is an absurdly high requirement. It's one of the reasons why we went with so many 7% as well. Aside from filling this gap and being able to skip some of these other ones we didn't want to make because we don't have them. But as you can tell from all the non-one-time bonuses there. But also, it was for Chapter 5. Just so we had some spares for when it does come out. I might even buy some when player trading comes out. Because what we have right now will not be enough. Even if we did it the whole time, it won't be enough. Even 3,000 of them wouldn't be enough. You almost need like 10,000 of them. If we're planning to like 500 all Chapter 5. Because I do plan to do Shield Breaker for sure. I might do either Armor Maker and or Delver. I mean Armor Maker and or Builder. But it really comes down to how much Delver attaches itself to the other two skills, because we don't know if Delver is required for what Armor Maker, and or if it's required for Builder at all. It's really ambiguous as to what its tie-in is with those skills. Like, how much Delver do you need to function on Builder? Like, is it like 10% your supplies, 20%, 50%, 80%? It's something where you don't really know at all. Like how required Delver is to function on the other two skills. Obviously it won't be required for combat, but the two non-combats it might be heavily attached to. Also, we might have to go for top 20 combat for Shield Breaker, by the way. I'm actually considering it. Because that'd be after combat merge and everything. Also, given the combat merge, it should be one of the quickest skill types in the entire game to get met to max. And we're already going to have 500 watch person by then, 100%. So there's a good chance I will try for top 20. Not for number 1, though. There's no way we're going to make number 1. But I might try for our first ever top 20 leaderboard all for Shield Breaker. It seems like it'd be a lot of fun. Plus, we get to bank a lot of building supplies, probably. There's some amount of stuff we kill will probably drop building supplies. Our detective in combat's finally evened out. And now it's time for detective to skyrocket above it. So we don't have to worry about it as much when combat merge comes out. The main reason we're doing it though is for 287. 287 is the biggest unlock. Because I need that free passive XP that we're going to be getting every single day. Twice a day. I keep getting tired. This is one of the whole reasons why I'm pivoting this too. I keep getting tired of having to take a bad level venture. I want a good one. This is my second one. It's one of the big reasons for going for this 287 is to start passively gaining more detective XP per day. So even if we're not doing detective, at least we're still making better progress on it. So I'm still really curious if Detective's going to get buffed to have any post-chapter benefits. It's still one of only 3 skills that really need a buff, in the sense that they have no use case outside their chapter. Those being fisherman, chef, and detective. They're the only 3 skills in the entire game that are locked only to a single chapter. Every other chapter has a benefit to another chapter. All the combats, you can get untuned gear for other chapters. Forager, you can get potion supplies for other chapters. Obviously, alchemy has potions for literally every chapter. Gatherer, potions, as well as bones for chapter 3. Woodcutting, carpentry, of course, for the weapons for chapter 3. Chapter 3 has all the weapons for every chapter, which you can end up making from scratch, which mining also feeds into. Merchant, leatherworker, while currently isolated to their own chapter, will be applying to chapter 5 in the future, kind of like how carpentry does currently to chapter 3, same thing. Currently it's kind of isolated, but that's until chapter 5 comes out and then it gets fixed. But yeah, the only 3 that don't is fisherman, chef, and detective. The only thing all 3 of these can do is make you money. And yes, you can use money in any area, but also literally every skill makes money, so that's not really a unique aspect. The easiest way to do that is food buffs that require fish of some kind, either hourly buff or however they want to do it. But I'm not sure how you fix detective, though. Like, how do you add detective benefits to other chapters? That I don't actually know. Like, it's really obvious what you need to do for fish and cooking. It's not really obvious what you do to detective to fix it, though. Because right now, it's basically the free 500 while training Chronopolis to 500 combat skill. That's like all that Detective does right now. He's just a double dipped 500 while doing combat. It doesn't do anything beyond the chapter. Or before the chapter, or anything outside the chapter. Can you explain a Detective money pivot? To, or have you already done it 100 times? Well, basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to get the 287 AFK activity so that we can start passiving Detective without doing Detective directly. Because I'm trying to get Detective close to 344 before the combat rework. So once we go pivot into combat, we can merge them together pretty nicely. Just so we're not wasting as much time having to go do Detective only. Because Detective's not getting buffed out of the combat merge, but combat is. So it's best to get a lot of that grind that we need to go do now done, so we don't have to do it later. But the money is mostly just so we can afford the tools and everything. And also for trading, I guess, to some degree. But no, it's mostly for Detective XP. The money pivot is just so we can actually afford the tools and everything that we actually need for Detective. As I do need 18 gold before we get to 267. Where I'm getting that from, I still don't know, actually. But there's the game plan. We're trying to get this up so we don't have to do it later. Because it's better to do Detective now than after the rework. Because after the rework, combat will be quicker, but Detective will be the same speed. Raid dens might be a little bit better, but all other activities like investigations don't get any better after the combat merge. Wouldn't you get more XP from the raid dens after the combat rework? Somewhat yes and no. You don't get penalized anymore. However, you also still have to go to the Detective grind, which isn't buffed at all. The main thing that I'm really after right now, out of anything, is more so the free XP per day. The 287. Like, this is basically our end goal. Our true end goal is technically 344. But our short-term end goal is just 287. It drastically increases the amount of Detective XP that we're already gaining every single day. By a lot. Like, I'm talking like almost 10 times, I believe. Due to the disparity between it. The wiki doesn't have the actual number though, but if it's anything like the mining one, it's almost 10 times better. Like 8 to 10 times better XP wise. And we're already doing it twice per day anyways. That's like the biggest reason we're doing it for. That way, regardless of what we're doing, we're passively gaining Detective XP closer to where we need it. For when we finally get to 500 watch person. Or not 500 watch person, but you know. After we finish 500 Mind Fighter, we're working on 500 watch person. And by then, we ideally want to be as close to 344 as possible. It's fine if we're not all the way there, but we want to be as close as we can be to it. Closer than we are now. And the best way to do that is get the 287 Detective thing operational. So our daily that we're already doing gives way more benefit. And right now, I am dumping all my knowledge into Blacksmith. However, once I get past 258, I will start dumping it into Detective. The reason I'm not doing it now is because our AFK activity is actually not horrible right now for Detective, which is my AFK activity of choice for the next few days. Or until we hit 258 wall. But once we hit 258, I just have to start dumping knowledge, because it's not worth doing the AFK activity. Because this at half the rate isn't worth it. And this ever at all is not worth it. Even just touching this is not worth it. You burn so much money doing that. Not sure what the exact burn rate is, but I believe it's like 100 silver an hour or something. It's like absurd. Actually, we can go check. Wait, let me see. The wiki probably doesn't have it. But I think the forensics potion is 120 for that level range. So if it has the EXP rate, or the gold back rate, let me see. I don't think it does, though. It's one of many pages missing a lot of info. Well, let me go double check. Let's see. It's right around here. Yeah, unknown. Wonderful. Yeah, it's just like straight unknowns. What's kind of funny is the things around it. Like, this is so dead, such dead content that no one even knows. Look at this. Info, dead content. It is so overly skipped that people don't even know what it is. Oh, that's funny. No, that doesn't help. I know it's not worth doing, but gosh. It's so not worth doing, the wiki doesn't even know. It knows like all the info up to that point, and it's like, nope, that's too dead content. No one's gonna even touch that. I already knew that, but I still wanted to know how bad it was. It's so bad that the wiki doesn't even know. Because so many people skipped it. Including ourselves. But yeah, as far as getting more XP from raid dens in the future, the answer is yes and no. It's kind of a weird in-between. You will no longer have XP penalty in raid dens in the future. However, the time to kill them is going to be way longer. Because I would be fighting a level 236 right now instead of a level 219. So his HP and durability and everything would be way higher than it is now. It also means you have to spend more time re-gearing. And that time that you're spending re-gearing is time you're not gaining XP. So it really comes down to how broken the combat tree is as far as how much quicker it can allow you to kill these. Is like the main disparity difference. Because even though they're not going to have any penalty anymore, they're going to be way stronger than they are now. Like these things are almost 20 levels higher right now if this was post-patch. But also we would be way stronger than we are now currently. But they would also be way stronger than they are now currently. But the benefit of that is they have a 0% penalty then. But they will be stronger. So it makes this less AFK. Because you basically have to re-gear almost every day or every few days. Whereas right now I can literally do this for like a week straight if we really wanted to. And never need to re-gear a single time. But after the rework, you're going to have to re-gear way more often. Like probably every other day or something, depending on how much you're doing it. Or if you're pre-200, literally every day. If you're trying to AFK it. That's the only downside of it later down the line. It becomes a lot less AFK, but a lot better XP. Or maybe not a lot better XP. But I would say it's about 20-30% better XP post-patch. But the amount of AFK-ness that it is drastically goes down. And how much more prep you have to do between every like long session that you AFK'd for. Which is something you don't really have to do now. Like this entire grind that we're doing to 287 Detective, I'm never going to need a re-gear a single time ever. In the current state of the game. My penalty will keep going up, but I'm never going to need to go on my way to go re-gear. But after the changes, you will. Like, probably every, like, 10 levels, you might even need to gear up. It really just comes down to how much does the skill tree help you.
Because it's something we don't really know, like how much overall power we're going to have compared to now when doing that. It's hard to know until it's actually out. But yes, it is both better and worse after the patch, Raid Dens. It becomes less AFK, but the XP per hour is probably better. It just requires more maintenance to maintain that XP per hour, though. But the overall rate should be slightly quicker than currently. But it cuts into AFK time compared to now. Not that this is not non-AFK, it's still going to be pretty AFK after the update. It's just slightly less so. As the weakest the enemy will ever be is 10 levels under you. So you're going to have to keep scaling up to the enemy. You're not going to be able to keep the same gear that you have for like a week straight or something. Otherwise you're going to fall too far behind them. Whereas the current gear we're using it since level 218. We can still keep going and use till like 260 if we want. But you won't be able to do that after the patch. What's my least favorite skill profession? Carpentry. It's one of the other reasons why we're doing Detective Pivot. One of like the secret reasons. The secret, not so secret reason. Is, gosh, if I could do anything to negate the carpentry grind. Because originally I was going to say woodcutting carpentry. And I kept thinking it over. It's like, carpentry. But, yeah, that's why we're also doing the Detective Pivot. It's not just a reason to go get rid of not having to do carpentry. But it is partially so we don't have to do carpentry. But no, it's more so because I want to get the venture going. If we're already using it, might as well get in a better one. And then we'll probably do the woodcutting carpentry grind after we get 287 detective. But not beforehand. But then we'll go do 200, 200. Technically 208, 216. But 200, 200 is fine for now. But first we're doing a 287 pivot for detective. It just seems long-term a little bit better. We're already doing this anyways. And right now we're just getting really little value for it, so might as well get it to be better value. Do you think your least favorite is Stonemason? Honestly, I would say Stonemason, even though I've done it the most out of the three. Oddly enough. I would say it's probably my least favorite too, compared to the three. Bone Ray has actually grown on me. If you're mostly just doing the bones. Because dunking bones is so chill, compared to the other two. Stonemason needs gas for everything, which is kind of annoying. Which I think is like the biggest thing that brings it down. Oh, so hello, Isabel! Welcome, welcome. Hope all's been well. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier, but if we do randomly disconnect from the stream, we won't be coming back. But we might randomly disconnect at any given time. Supposedly my service provider is supposed to be doing maintenance sometime in the next few hours. They still haven't yet, surprisingly. But you know when they will, because our connection will just, the stream will just instantly end out of nowhere, mid-sentence. But if it does happen, we're not coming back. But they're supposed to do maintenance for like an hour or two. They said it could be as early as noon and as late as like 6, which is weird because it's almost like 5 right now. So maybe these aren't doing it. But, yeah, they haven't done it yet. Hopefully they don't do it later than that, because I still want to try doing the Gems of War stream at 8 like we normally do on Mondays. But it might get delayed if my provider takes out internet around that time for maintenance. They just gave such a big time window, so it's kind of hard to plan around. Yeah, the bone dipping's a lot easier. Out of any of the 3 to go and process the actual material, it's the easiest to do. But of course, material-wise is the hardest to do. But the actual dunking part of it is the easiest. Smithing the second easiest, and Stonemason the most annoying. I didn't mind the Stonemason grind too much. If I had to keep doing it as a hammer mage, I probably would care a little bit more. But since I'm at 200, I basically never need to touch it again for a very, very long time. Like, in the current state of the game, I don't plan to touch Stonemason until, like, a year from now. If not even more. Like, I probably don't touch it until a raid or a boss needs it. Otherwise, just staying at 200 for now. Same as Bone Right. Until a raid or a boss requires getting it up. Do you think we'll be able to change our class in the future? No, but they did say that you'll be able to use other classes' weapons. One of the things that's going to be happening on the skill tree is you'll be able to increase your off-profession proficiency. How high this goes, we don't currently know. Ideally, 90% or higher, because that would actually be viable if it's 90 or 95%. But basically, you'll be able to equip all other faction gear with the combat tree. And the combat tree will make it more effective, depending on how many upgrades you go for it. The main thing we don't know is how far do you have to go to get it to its max, and what is max. Like, we don't know how many nodes you'll need to unlock, like 10 or 20 or 5, or however many. But we also don't know how much percent the total cap's at. Like, we'll be able to get 80% effectiveness, 90%, 95%. Because realistically, you need 90% or higher for it to be worth it. 80% is like sketchy, and anything under 80 is probably not worth it ever. But you will be able to use other factions' gear. Every faction will be able to use all faction equipment. It'll just be weaker than your main faction equipment. We just don't know what percent that will be. But anything less than 80% is probably not worth it. Unless it's like an absurdly good special attack that you need for something. Or it's like your worst weapon type. Like if a Cryo Knight needs a green weapon. Like using a Guardian green weapon might be worth it. Because our alternative is pretty bad. Or by bad, I mean non-existent currently. So you basically have to use the Guardian. Just want to bow everything down. But yeah, you will be able to use all faction equipment going forward. It'll just be weaker than whatever your primary faction is. We just don't know what percent you'll be able to get up to. I'm hoping at least 90%. Because then it's actually realistic to run all faction gear. And that includes armor as well, weapons and armor. You'll still have the symbol of whatever your main class is, like our Cryo Knight. But, yeah, you'll be able to use all other faction equipment at a lower degree. You just don't know how far in the skill tree you're going to need to go or anything like that, or what the max percent is. But we'll know more about that when the combat merge actually happens. I just hope it's at least 90% though. When you're at like max, 90 or 95. Because the lower it is, the less enticing it is to ever bother doing it. But something like 95, you're nearly at full effectiveness at that point. Like a 5% cut is not that bad at all. You'd probably have to go super deep on the skill tree to end up getting that though. Like we're talking like level 400 in a zone or something. I don't have to wait and see. But they have 100% confirmed that you're going to be able to wield all faction gear. It just won't be as strong as your main faction. So there's technically no need to ever do a repick. They did say if they ever do make a lot of fundamental changes, they might allow one repick though. But it'd be a one-off thing, you wouldn't be able to keep changing it. But as it currently stands, they have no plans on allowing a repick at the moment. But they will be allowing you to use all faction gear, so to some degree you won't even really need a repick. Because the only thing your faction's really going to do is give you a slight extra benefit for that one type of gear. But I do hope drop tables get adjusted for that a little bit. Because right now you have a lot higher chance of getting whatever your faction gear is as a drop. And right now Guardians have the biggest benefit in that regard. Because Guardian equipment's definitely going to be the most expensive. So unless they tweak that, Guardians have the biggest benefit when it comes to drop table. And Cryo Knight's probably the worst. Because all Cryo Knight items are pretty easy to get. Hammer Mage has one really annoying hammer to get. But everything else is pretty average. And Guardian, everything's annoying to get pretty much. There's a few exceptions, like a couple of their pole arms and such. But almost all of it's kind of a little annoying to get. As far as the full process for it. Which means they have the best drop table. Because they basically have a drop table that naturally prioritizes the hardest to obtain armor and weapons. Whereas Cryonite has the worst drop table in that regard. It's because everything for Cryonite's pretty easy to obtain. Which is good when it comes to making gear for it, but bad when it comes to a drop table for it. That's something we still don't know for sure yet either. How exactly we're going to make armor in Chapter 5. Assumably it'd be leather and then the corresponding material from the Chapter 3. But they might use some kind of new material or something. Like the most logical one is it'll require leather and then stone, leather and then spars, and leather and then bones. But we don't know for Guardian armor if you're going to need bones from Delver instead. Or exactly how that's going to work. I don't have to wait and see. Because that makes Guardian even more annoying if so. It gives them the benefit of having a lot more material. But it gives them the downside of needing a whole another skill to go train Armor Maker. Whereas the other ones don't need to train another skill. They simply do mining into their production. But that means Guardian might have to do Gather, Woodcutting, Carpenter, Bonewright, Armor Maker, and Delver in order to make weapons and armor. Whereas for the most part, all you would need for... Well, technically also Merchant and Leatherworker. So that means potentially, worst case scenario for Guardian, to make your armor and weapons, you would need Gather, Woodcutting, Carpenter, Bonewright, Merchant, Leatherworker, Armor Maker, and Delver. Whereas for most stuff for... Cryonite and Hammer Mage realistically is going to be mining, blacksmith, stonemason, or either or, depending on which one you're doing. Leatherworker, merchant, and then just armor maker. Because we don't know if Delver has any tie-in to make an armor. That's one thing that we don't know 100% sure on yet. But if it was to require any of the three, it would likely be Bonewright. Because you would likely delve for bones. But they would be more like plate armor bones rather than weapon spike bones. Oh, so I'm surprised the stream hasn't disconnected yet. The service provider gave like a 6-hour window and they're not using it. Who knows, maybe they're using it exactly at 5 o'clock. But I think after this set, I am going to just go grab dinner then. Because it's probably going to go out soon any minute now. Just so we can actually conclude properly before it does disconnect. And then tomorrow we'll probably be starting at pretty normal-ish time. And go from noon until quite a while. This will also be the last day that we're doing the Old School RuneScape League. So we're going to do the half and half screen again like we did a little bit after Thanksgiving. Just to go finish that out. It's the last day that the event runs for. So I figured we put off all the procrastination and go do it. So far, we only did it for 6 days. Everything else was just a little bit of AFK and off stream. But tomorrow I want to go and actually go finish it out since we've been procrastinating on it for like a month and a half. And that way whenever we do stream it again, we can actually stream the real game and not just leagues. Because we haven't done a single actual real Old School RuneScape stream in a little over 3 months. Tomorrow's not going to be it either. But at some point I do want to do one. I've been neglecting it a bit. We've still been playing in the background, though our gameplay has been hitting a tree over and over again. Haven't been able to play the real game in a while. Like a long while. Because I was sick for a month and then Brighter Shores came out. And during that whole time I basically haven't played it. But of course, this is our life for like the next week. Not just this. Once we get to 267, we do investigations. But a lot of AFK in this. If you wonder why I'm doing it at any given moment in the next like several days. Until like Thursday or Friday, it is probably this. Regardless if we're on stream or off stream. But tomorrow, yeah, we're going to go into power grind on this. So we don't have to do it as much. Kind of like how we did the art alchemy grind. Just get it all done at once. So we don't have to come back to it. Instead of splitting it up, just power grind it all until we get to our goal. Because our main goal is 287. I mentioned it a couple times. But 287 so that we could start getting the what you call it? The better wanted posters. It's like our big goal right now. Yeah, we can also show the AFK location. I really like the animation that it does. Though they forgot to do the right icon though. But let's go do that real quick. Oh, I just realized I got the bad side. I should have done the other shortcut thing. There's one to stake out spots. Let me go the other one. I'm actually taking the scenic route. I just realized. Because we can't cut through, I'm about to be taking like the longest way to get there. I'm not sure why I went this way. The other way is so much quicker because the shortcut's all the way through. We'll take the scenic route. It's actually a bar I didn't even realize was really here because I always just assumed this place is like the raid den, like in between. But we actually found a little card in one of the chapter things. I think it was the Lost and Found quest. Well, not Lost and Found, Forgotten Things. That has like a little card that mentions a various inn. And I was like, oh, that's probably an inn that's in like chapter 5 or something. But no, it actually is in chapter 4. It's just this little area right over here called the Four Winds Bar. But yeah, it's also where our thing is, which is why I'm mentioning it. But yeah, it's right over here. I'm just gonna be spying on everyone coming in through the bar. And you do get all of your binocular bonus for this. I did get it to level 10 just so we'd have a little bit better bonus. And with the goldenness of it, we also get 10%. So we're at 14% bonus. It's not huge, but it's better than 0% bonus like most of the AFKs. So it's a really good one to be taken whenever you are away like this. It's one of the better few from Detective. One of the only few that's actually like really, really good. But yeah, it gives a little bit extra XP compared to 0%. It's not a lot, but you know, 14% helps a lot more than 0. Anyways, guys, we're going to be calling it here for now. We will be back tomorrow around normal time, noon Eastern Standard Time. And we will still be doing our Gems of War stream tonight around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, about 3 hours from now. Assuming I have internet connection. As supposedly my service provider's cutting off in the next hour or two. And they said they'd be get down for about an hour or two, in about an hour or two. They said it's somewhere around noon to 6, and it is 5 right now, pretty much. So any moment now, we could just lose connection. So figured we'd get off just slightly beforehand, just so we can actually conclude rather than get cut off mid-sentence. But anyways, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. And yeah, I'll catch you guys soon. And yeah, we'll keep continuing on the detective pivot till we get to 287. Luckily, at 267, we can start doing a lot more manually and get those investigations. So tomorrow's goal is basically to try to get as close as we can to 267. I'll probably even dump knowledge into the skill directly just to speed it up so we can try going and getting there within a day? I don't know. Can you do that? I'm not sure what the XP rate is. I'm not sure if we can, but we're going to sure try. We're going to get as close to 267 by the end of tomorrow as we can. How close we get, I have no clue. But we'll find out. Anyways, guys, enjoy your week. I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for stopping by as always. Greatly appreciated. And goodbye, everyone. Thanks for watching.